Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sons and Daughters of Liberty. Tonight we're just going to do an evening coffee and chat. I got a few topics I want to talk about. Net neutrality, since they're actually going to be voting on it tomorrow. I kind of want to discuss a little bit more on that. I got into it a little bit in the last video I did, so just want to cover that. But I am going to jump into, before we get on that topic. By the way, my name's Drew Smiley. I always seem to forget to say that towards the end of the video. There was some breaking news that just happened about a half hour to an hour ago. At least that's when I got the notification, so it might have been a little bit longer than that. But it's going to tie into something we're going to talk about as well. Let me jump over here and read this article. Kentucky State Rep kills self, leaves suicide note online. Yet again, another congressman that was accused of sexual harassment or sexual assault, or in this case, I guess they accused him of molesting a member of his church, has apparently committed suicide and left a suicide note online. It's kind of, not to be degrading if I'm not, but I kind of find it funny in the suicide note, it was the accusations from NPR are false gods and only God knows the truth. He actually talked about how people are being judged, just, a little bit. It's sad that, he took his own life. So, thoughts and prayers are definitely to his family, but we get into situations where, we judge everybody, everybody's this. We've seen it used in political to gain leverage over one group over the other, instead of giving them the day in court and actually doing an investigation. They just put it right out there saying, oh, if this happened, it's got to be true. That's bad reporting, because if it turns out later that these guys are innocent, they have every right to sue every media corporation that labeled them this, even going after the accusers as well for falsifying information and false testimony. And it needs to start happening because now we're starting to be seeing it come out more and more. They should have their day in court. They should be able to prove themselves. They're innocent until proven guilty. But because they're politicians, and I'm not defending them, by no means, because they're politicians, and we're seeing them use that to gain leverage over one side over the other. It's becoming more common. And that's the danger of allowing accusations without investigation, without a trial. Because let's just say on the next election process, we don't see it again. Now it's become a tool. It's been weaponized. That's not what it's supposed to be about. Me personally, though, I personally do believe if you're under investigation, you should recuse yourself. But then there's the dilemma, because now if you recuse yourself and step away until things are straightened up, until you prove your innocence in court, or they prove you guilty in court, whichever happens, now they see they can use it to force somebody out of office or not to run. So now it's being a weapon. Which is going to tie into my other issue here. Taxpayers' money being misused for settlements, that we have no right to see. We don't know, they're not telling us who these people were. That's in Congress, that works in the government office, whether it be an aide or not, you're still part of the Congress. You're still part of the government. We have every right to know who it is because you're using our taxpayers' money to hush somebody up, to keep them from publicly talking. Our taxpayers' dollars is never supposed to go for that. I find that highly appalling, and we'll get into that here a little bit later. It's just becoming a common trend here of late, where you see people's views and opinions differ. Next thing you know, you see stuff like that come up. You start seeing it being used to sway voters in elections. You want to talk about rigging elections? You want to talk about manipulating an election? Well, if they ever find out that Moore was innocent, if you ever see it goes to court and they prove him innocent, you guys just manipulated an election. Even though, personally, I think he should have recused himself, stepped down. As anybody, because you're going into an office of trust. But, you know, as I pointed out, the downside to that is people start using it as a weapon to get their opponents out of the way. Where does it stop? When does people start realizing what's going on, start actually paying attention, how they're doing these things, how they're using these tactics, instead of getting caught up in left-right paradigms and narratives? You know, because I know, we all know there's bad people in this world. There's sick, twisted, perverted people that do these things, and they deserve to be put in prison for those crimes. But they also deserve their day in the court to be proven guilty. See, we get caught in the misconception that everybody's guilty. You're guilty before you even hit the courtroom, when you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. With that mentality, we judge everybody as, even if somebody accuses them of something, gets all the mainstream news, and anybody else that jumps on board and starts reporting on it. You're basically saying that that man's guilty or that woman is guilty without investigating. I mean, we've seen in the Alabama situation that, I mean, two of the accusers turned out to be not true. So this is a trend that needs to stop. We need to stop saying everybody's guilty when they hadn't even had their day in court and all the evidence and investigations hasn't went through. I mean, we know what's going on. I mean, common sense, just watching it unfold. It's party versus party trying to manipulate the system. I think it's kind of weird that there was more write-in votes than the percentage of win. Something's not right there. Me personally, didn't care for either candidate, not my state. But it's a common thing that's going on that nobody's questioning. Why does this keep happening? Because, well, we got this one demographic versus this demographic. We got this label versus this label. We can't see past the label and see how they're misusing the labels to further divide and manipulate the system. Want to talk, while we're on this subject of manipulation, let's get to net neutrality. Don't know how many people heard this report today. Anybody know there was an investigation going on out of New York on comments? People that have been commenting and supporting net neutrality? Oh, apparently there was. And this New York attorney's trying to say, because he filed paperwork, trying to say that this was happening, you need to postpone your vote. It isn't. You're getting false information because all these comments weren't actual comments. They were stolen identities, fraudulent comments. I talked about kind of lengthily about what net neutrality could possibly mean for us, because it could mean the end of a lot of YouTubers, a lot of people that post on various websites, does articles and stuff. It could be used to silence us, because now we're going to have to pay for extra for these services. Nobody's thinking about that. Nobody's talking about that. That is a way, and if I thought about it, you best believe these politicians and corporate sectors have thought about it. Hey, this is the way we can gain back control of the media, gain back control of the narrative and the status quo. We'll just do away with net neutrality. Because not everybody that do these streams can afford to be paying extra on top of their internet fee to have that. So you're going to lose a lot of voices. I'll tell you right now, you'll definitely lose me. But I'm just a small channel, so nobody's going to miss me. And it's like I said, well, you silence me here, okay. I have other ways to get my information out. Unless you start charging me to use my inbox, which is possible. Google could charge you. My service provider says, well, you want to get Google, you got to pay more. Or you want to send a lengthy newsletter, you need to pay more because you're using more bandwidth, using more data. And then, okay, so you silence me from the internet. Well, there's ham, there's CB, and there's the old-fashioned way with pen and paper. Stamps are still cheap for the most part. I think people don't realize how many, like I talked about the last video, there's agendas. Every agenda has multiple agendas in it, multiple layers of things they're trying to accomplish. They give us a shiny picture of things. But, really, today, New York Attorney General Eric T. Schneiderman released new details of his office investigations into fake comments submitted during the net neutrality comment process. This is showing that 2 million of the comments stole real American identities. Millions of fake comments have corrupted the FCC public process, including 2 million that stole the identities of real people. A crime under the New York law, said Attorney General Schneiderman. Yet the FCC is moving full steam ahead with a vote based on the corrupted process while refusing to cooperate with an investigation. As we told the FCC, moving forward with this vote would make a mockery of our public comment process and reward those who preparated this fraud to advance their own hidden agenda. The FCC must postpone this vote and work with us to get to the bottom of what happened. It goes on to say, to date, over 5,000 people have filed reports with the Attorney General's office regarding identities used to submit fake comments to the Federal Communication Commission on the repeal of net neutrality, on which the FCC is scheduled to vote tomorrow, December 14th, 2017. People can check whether their identity was misused and report it to the Attorney General's office at ag.ny.gov/fake comments. Examples of the over 5,000 reports already submitted to the Attorney General's office can be found below. I will leave a link to this. I think I'll just link it right now so I can find it in my description and in chat. Might be worth the read, guys. I do find it odd that they are bringing that up. I mean, why would they want to bring that up? Why would they want to postpone the vote? I mean, the way I read it and the way it makes it sound like maybe they thought about the same thing we did. Maybe tomorrow, they're just going to pass it. I don't know. I'm leery of my opinions and views on that because I can see it, just another perspective of how things could come about and what they could implement. Because, they definitely would like to stop a lot of us from watching what Trump tweets. I mean, if you want to be on Twitter, you got to pay an extra $5, $10. Hey. I mean, I find it absurd. Just as much as I found it absurd that we got to keep bringing this in front of Congress every couple years. But they won't take action against monopolies that have made monopolies on the internet when the information on it's meant to be free for everybody. Once again, corporations doesn't have to adhere to our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, our civil rights. They don't have to answer, in their opinion, to us because they're not accountable to those things because they're a corporation, so therefore they're not considered a U.S. entity or U.S. citizen, a person. I personally inclined to say they're not going to do away with net neutrality. But it is a possibility and worth talking about it because it could be when we start coming to the next election. They might want to implement it. See, sometimes you got to think years ahead. Well, we had the Russian whole gate thing, which is still going on, taxpayers' money being wasted on investigations after investigations after what? We don't know. We get to see a little bit and listen to labeled news networks that follow one label over the other and report it opinionally based on that label. And they all do it, right? I see people think, well, this one don't do it. They all do it. They all side one side or the other. Just because they talk good about one person, this one news network talks great and good about this one person, there's still identity politics. The label. Labels divide. It's used to pit us against each other. The part that's got me kind of shocked that nobody is screaming, demanding FOIA requests on Congress to release the names of the individuals where, how much? $84 million or $84,000 was the taxpayers' money was spent. I think the number is actually higher than that. We should all be screaming for vengeance on that one. Our hard-earned money that we have to pay in taxes going towards a slush fund meant to silence somebody, not to go public. I mean, yes, some of it could be just as petty as discrimination against vets, as I've said. But when you start spending that amount of money, close to 17, one report says close to 17 million since 97, you're answerable to that. Because you're taking the money that we pay in taxes to hush people up. I tell you what, it goes back to what I stated earlier. I think, you're in an office of trust. If those things come up, you should step aside until you have your day in court, until a full investigation is done. And as a citizen, as a taxpayer citizen, I have every right to know how my taxpayer dollars is being spent, where it's going. And I didn't give you no permission to use it to implement me in your hushing people up fund. Heaven forbid they decide to hit you with a RICO. Every one of us paid taxes could be hit up with it. Oh yeah, guys, that's how the RICO Act works. You can even so as much as donate to one of those organizations, and they are affiliated with somebody. Because you gave money to it, you could get caught up into it. You're no better than them in their eyes when it comes to the legal wording of those things. What we are looking at is a government that is way out of control. It's no longer, they don't give a rat's furry behind about any of us. It's all about they don't need to know this information. We can do what we want with the money, with the taxpayers' money. And I'm kind of shocked that Trump ain't making an example out of this. He should be demanding that Congress be held accountable, that information be released. Hey, so should any senator or congressman that truly values we the people, that realizes, hey, my constituents, the people that put me in here, wouldn't even stand for that. Where does everybody's morality compass at? I don't like talking about that particular subject because it just brings out emotion. It makes people mad when we hear it. We're seeing it almost every day. I mean, I didn't even know about that senator in Kentucky. Didn't even know he was accused because I don't listen to anything that's on the TV or radio aside from a select few, and it's usually public broadcasting radio, such as not even public broadcasting, stuff that you can find on iHeart. I don't even listen to Alex Jones anymore. Once in a blue moon, I might tune in. I see a topic that's not clickbait, like the vaccines thing that not the last one, but the one before last, 36-hour broadcast they did. They had a guy on there talking about how the legal system is with the vaccines and the pharmaceutical industries. It was sickening to hear what he had to say. Just as much as it's sickening to see nurses, just not here in Ohio and Toledo, but in every state, being forced to take the vaccination or lose their jobs, lose their medical benefits. So many nurses have come out and said, this is why I won't take it. And you know what? I believe those nurses. What? Nurses. They went to school for medicine. If they got a problem with it, we should have a bigger problem with it. You guys stop and question why all these nurses are saying no and being threatened to lose their jobs if they don't take it? I know. Yeah, I know. Many of you out there believe, well, it's for our protection. If they don't take that, we can catch. Maybe you should go and listen to some of what these nurses say about what's in the vaccines and how it don't work. You're usually getting a shot for the previous year's flu. And so much more goes into that. Or many of you haven't witnessed somebody that gave their child a vaccine. Next thing you know, this child who was perfectly healthy, talking, eating, doesn't talk no more, barely eats. And that's just the mild effects. There's people that have lost their children because of it. And they take them to court, and what happens? Oh, wait, you can't take them to court because the court has no judge. You're not allowed to request information, motion of discoveries. You're not allowed to question the pharmaceutical company. You have to literally pay someone to testify, literally pay a scientist, and you got to bring your own facts that's backed by scientists. You can't bring the pharmaceutical into the courtroom, which is nothing more than a kangaroo court, because there is no judge, there is no jury. Why is this? Well, it's obvious. And by the way, guys, we are Free TV put out an awesome video about the war on drugs. I think he mirrored it. I'm not sure, or it was his. But he put out an awesome video, showing you statistics, how other countries, and I've always used Amsterdam as an example. He used another country, legalized it all. Drug rates dropped, drug usage dropped, crime drops, violent crime and robberies drop, HIV dropped. Amsterdam has probably one of the lowest crime rates in the world, and everything is legal there, from prostitution to drugs. He did the statistics, showed you the statistics. 1 out of 9 African Americans end up in prison between the ages, I think it was 14 to 34. Then he showed the statistics of the murder rates, the death. There's been more drug-related murders from violent crime than we lost soldiers in Iraq. How are those statistics sounding for you? Why? When you put a prohibition on something, misillusion. It's the illusion of drug enforcement. It's the illusion that, oh, we got all these drug enforcement agents that are enforcing these laws. Well, we're locking all these people up. Oh, yeah, let's talk about that. The multi-billion-dollar prison industry. Yes, guys, it is an industry. It's a corporation. Because they get paid to house convicted felons. They make money off them. Once you get a number, or however it works in your state, they get paid for you. They get kickbacks. Then the taxpayers pay more. So yes, they want the prisons running and thriving because it's making money. Not for you guys, not for your states, but for the and the owners that have bought into this system. You know, the reality, let's build the wall. The reality is they're going to find another way to smuggle it in. They'll fly it in, which they've been doing for years anyway. They'll ship it in through the ports. Why? Because there's a demand. It's illegal. So they can charge outrageous prices, make millions off a product. You want to eliminate the making millions? There's the illusion. Make it legal. Everything legal. And I'm not for everything being legal. Just for those that's going to say, oh, you're for that. I'm not. No. But then again, let's look at it. Our pharmacy industry is putting out more addictive and dangerous drugs than what you can buy on the street. I mean, we've got stuff that's more addictive and dangerous than heroin right now on the streets. That's pharmaceutical grade. Why do they not force the issue on that? Why? Because the politicians get kickback from these pharmaceuticals. They've got investments. You know, that's the thing. I think when a person becomes elected into any office of trust, all their financials should be revealed. What are you tied into? Where do you have investments? You know, I've already said that the first thing that needs to happen in Congress, all lobbyists need to be banned. If you get caught even talking to a lobbyist and you don't report it, you should be removed from office. Put an end to corporations coming in and paying off our politicians. That ain't no better than the hush money you're using from our taxpayer dollars to hide the sexual harassment claims. But hey, they get away. How they get off it? Get away with it. You know, there used to be terms: pork barrel spending, lobbyists. You know, honestly, in this day and age, I don't think you can find a politician that is really, truly about we the people, for the people. Because the ones that are, they don't win. They don't get the endorsements. They don't get the money so they can compete and run elections. Our Supreme Court, during the previous administration, failed us on that aspect when they said a corporation is not considered a U.S. entity, a U.S. citizen, an individual citizen. So therefore, the Constitution does not apply to a corporation, so thus far they can spend as much money as they want. You know, and on that note, have our elections been manipulated? You're damn right they have been, by corporations. Many of our corporations aren't even owned by Americans. They're owned for people from overseas. Investors from overseas that have high shareholdings within the corporation. That can spend millions upon millions to dictate policy, their ideologies, their beliefs. Not we the people, not the Americans' ideology, beliefs, and way of life. Judge Scalise, I think it was Scalise, the one that was killed, the one that died in the hunting lodge. Not going to get into conspiracies of that. Everybody has their own opinion and view on that, including myself. I'm not going to voice them. But even him, if you read the stuff he wrote about that, everything that he said and warned everybody about would happen has transpired because of that ruling. That's why us Americans can never get ahead. People scream, let's raise the minimum wage. What good does it do? Okay, you're making $18 an hour, you jump the tax bracket. Now every business out there raises their prices to match the increase of the wage. So therefore now you're making less. That's the facts. That's business 101, by the way, guys. Because there's no law and regulations for corporations and businesses like that. The problem is we're so divided. We're constantly arguing about left and right politics or various other labels. Alt-right, light-right, road-right, right, left, far right, conservative, libertarianism. We're so divided that they just keep doing this stuff, and they're getting worse right in front of our faces, right in front of your faces, about $84,000 in hush money to pay out settlements. Well, I tell you what, I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm a taxpayer. I have the right to know. As every single one of you do. Oh wait, your FOIA request isn't going to go anywhere because we're protecting the victim. We're protecting the identity of the victim. Well, go ahead. Black that out. I don't need to see that. I just need to see that person that's in that office of trust that did it. Oh, wait, that's classified. You know, that's the terms they're going to use to say, no, we don't have the right. Well, you know what? You just spent $84,000, $17 million since '97. And that tells me there's a real problem inside our government, inside of Congress, and government offices. Mind you, that was just the federal area. That had nothing to do with this, what happens in the states level. Oh, what a firestorm has been unleashed with Harvey Weinstein. But except for, I don't see any of them going to jail yet, which is due process. You know, they're investigating. But then, as I stated in the opening part of this video, we're starting to see how that's also been used in the political spectrum to take advantage of an opponent. You know, because people like me have that view and mentality. Well, if you're accused of that and you're running for an office of trust, you need to step down until you are proven innocent, until the investigation is through and they, you know, because how can you hold an office of trust when you're going through an investigation? Because it'd be like me going to get a job, going for the interview, and I tell the interviewer, well, yes, but I'm also going to some legal issue. I'm under investigation for something petty. You think that person's going to hire me, knowing there's a chance that I might go to jail? Because in his mind, that's what he's going to think. Oh, you might go to jail. You might not, because you might not know the whole caseload. It might be just a petty misdemeanor. A slap on the wrist fine. Or it might be something more serious that I've been accused of that I didn't do. But he ain't going to hire me. So that's where the logic comes in, where you should step down, especially with the office of trust. You know, like I said, as we talk about certain subjects, we see that slippery slope that we walk when we have our views and opinions on certain matters, because now we can look at it and see how that very same opinion is shared by the multitude. I mean, and it can affect the outcome of an election. It can sway votes that would normally go for that person, that were going to go for that person. That because here's the sad fact of it is there's people out there whose voices aren't being heard who've had stuff like that happen to real cases. Then we get cases that are made up, which hurts the real case. Why I don't, in most cases, try to talk about those things that we're seeing on the news all the time. I'll wait till it passes. You know, who knows? Especially on Roy Moore's case. Who knows if he did it or didn't? You know? You also have to look at the generations. You know, our generations now don't get married till we're in our 30s. Some of us not till our 40s. We don't start having families. Older generations, like my grandfather's generation, they were marrying and having families at earlier ages. We evolve. Me personally, the law clearly states, but that law is different in every state. Now look at that. Some states, you can be 16. You know, I'm all for the 18, and there's some things I don't even think you should be 21 for. Now I gotta be 21 to drink, but in Wisconsin on campuses, they're talking about wanting to lower it to 18 because they're adults. You know, when I was younger, I thought that way. Well, I'm 18. I can smoke. I can buy cigarettes. Why can't I buy alcohol? And now that I'm older, I don't think that way. Because there's responsibility when you drink. And there's lack of responsibility because you're not always coherent. You haven't learned to moderate things. You're young. You want to have fun. I get that. I understand that. I lived that. You know, but we live in a day and age where, you know, live life a bit. Enjoy it. But I wouldn't recommend waiting till your 30s to start a family. As they forced us into believing, get your careers, get your doctorate before you start doing all this. Get that all the way. Well, for some of those things, getting your doctorate, that's, you know, there's 4, 8, sometimes 12 years gone that you've worked on your occupation, which means, see, that's the other thing when we get all these labels and want to talk about that stuff. They don't point that out. They miss that part. There's the issue. We're taught to do those things, but that's not the issue. You know? we allow ourselves to get divided and we start compounding the problems. When you can find the very simplicity part, the real core of the problem. And we'll speak of core. Some of that core problem is common core. Majority of it is, because that's what our younger generations have been taught. For my generation, for most of us, man, we were taught once we hit 16, better get a job, we want a car, better start saving up, we want to go to college. Man, we were taught we had to work to get anywhere. Especially if we wanted to go to college right out of high school. Or we wanted to have a vehicle to drive. I've seen the downfalls of that philosophy, though. Because some of us will get out there and start making money. That's the way I was. I enjoyed having the money, being able to do things, the freedoms I got with working and being able to go do the things I wanted to that I couldn't before, which slowly became more of a priority than school. So yes, there is some dangers there that I recognize now. But not everybody is like that. Some people, they love the education. They much rather be in school than at work. Education is important, but so is learning the value of work. It does teach you morals. It teaches you how to be responsible. It teaches you how to start making ends meet. It starts teaching you the values of wants over needs. It starts teaching you how to prioritize things. And it teaches you a little bit of the value of hard work. It sucks, but you need to be hardworking to get anything and anywhere in life. Nothing is free and nothing is going to be handed to you on a silver platter. That's the way they've taught people these days. They start removing our history. So when we see what's going on with $84,000 paid for taxpayers' money paid for hush money, that's a payoff. Here's some money. Don't talk about it. Don't go public. As a taxpayer, you used my money. I have the right to know who did that. Why? Because I'm not voting you back in the office. Especially because you used the money to quiet somebody. I'm really not voting you back in office. Just like probably hardly anybody's going to catch that net neutrality thing with that New York attorney talking about that. What the hell? Why is he bringing up? Because it's the way you read it. Let you guys make your own opinions on that. But as you're reading it, it's like he's trying to stall. Well, I can see why. New York, sanctuary city. Look what just happened there, and what's happened there in the past. It's a way to the loss of net neutrality is the way to silence people. The way to put people that talk about these things and make them pay to be able to do that. Most people can't. Like I said, if they actually do away with net neutrality on my birthday tomorrow, it will be a black birthday for real, because it will be the end of sons and daughters' liberty on any of these platforms. Why? Because I don't monetize. I don't let them control what I can and can't say. I don't sit here and ask you every video for donations. I don't use Patreon. Before anybody says anything, well, you got a PayPal link? Yes, I do. I have a PayPal link. But I don't ask. It's there. That's the way I've always viewed it. I've done it on anything I've done. From the beginning, when I started doing building social sites and websites and running them, we put the donation link on the main page and never ask. But you know what? We never seen a dime either because we didn't ask. I can't say that my partner actually got something donated to her once. It's not how we believe in doing things. It's there for those that may wish to. If not, it's not a problem. But in the end, if the net neutrality would fail, yeah, I don't have nobody to blame but myself because I didn't push those things. But I'm not going to because not me. I'm not going to blame myself either because I see it for what it is, a way to silence us, to take our voices, trying to get things back to the status quo, which I'm pretty optimistic that tomorrow it'll pass and we won't hear about it for a little while. It doesn't mean to forget about it, especially when we have what we're seeing with that Attorney General in New York City. He's saying millions, but yet you can only show 5,000. A bit of an exaggeration there. You show me the millions, or you say 5,000, because we know there's people out there. Any good cause, if somebody's going to find a way to use it, abuse it, manipulate it. That's the way people are. There's people out there just do that. But I can't believe millions. I could believe the 5,000. I think it's a little high number, but that's possible. But my thing is, why are you trying to intercede, trying to force them to not vote, accusing them of not cooperating with an investigation? Because he is right. In almost every state, that's illegal, but he's only representing the state of New York, and he says so in his own words. It is illegal in the state of New York to falsify or misuse somebody's identity or steal somebody's identity. He's not speaking for every state. And as I pointed out, and as I tied a bunch of these talks in that we discussed tonight, how that maybe we need to pay attention to that a little bit more, because it might not happen tomorrow, which I don't think it will, but they might turn around come 2020 or 2018, bring it back up. All right, we can control the internet this way. A lot of people can't afford to be paying for extra services. So we can kind of take control of the narrative, so it's all one-sided. Shifts everything back, pulls people back down to rely on the mainstream. Like I said, sometimes these things come up for a reason. Sometimes we don't see that there's multiple agendas at play. Just implementing something at first. Because like I said, if I thought about it, I'm sure as hell they've thought about it and considered it. Because it is. It'd be a way to shut a bunch of people up. Which, they're not going to get everybody. There's people out there who can afford to pay a little extra services for YouTube, but it's stuff's going to add up when you have to pay for YouTube, Netflix, Twitter, and Facebook separately, on top of the paying your service provider. Some people out there will be able to, it's just $5. Yeah, I don't got $5 to give. It's also another way to force more 5G on people. Change the narrative. Sometimes things come about for a reason. And sometimes they're set in motion well in advance before the real, what's the word I'm looking for, the real true agenda shows itself. You get to see this little shiny object to distract you, because everybody that I know is completely against net neutrality. That's why I don't believe dudes that lawyer's numbers when he said millions. I can barely believe 5,000, but that's probable. It's a little above possible. It's probable with hackers and stuff out there. But then again, why would they? That goes back. Why would not even a hacker would want to see net neutrality go down? Okay, there's scammers out there. Oh wait, they wouldn't want to see it go down either, because now they got to pay for extra services to be able to scam people, to run their scam. Oh, see what I'm saying? But identity theft has other uses and other reasons, For identity theft on comments, basically the gist of what he was saying is, these identities were stolen. They were used to make these false comments that the FCC is listening to and basing their vote off of. No, I'm quite sure they're basing their vote off the millions of people that are telling them, so we're not for this. Which goes back to, let's look at New York. Sanctuary city? Opposed of anything. Yeah, most of the major media networks are based in what cities? Sanctuary cities. California, New York. So yeah, they would be for stopping net neutrality, or doing away with net neutrality, so they can bring their audiences back. Go back to the status quo and silencing the people that keep seeing through their misdeeds, through the illusion. All right. I'll have to go back and check that out later. Guess somebody thinks I'm a degenerate. No, these are just my views and opinions. The only difference between me and most, I'm not scared to question everything. I'm not scared to think outside the box. Make sure that what's being shown to me isn't a misconception or a little white lies, so to speak. Something that has a fraction of truth and the rest full of illusion. It's just like this community here on this platform. It's like I said, I've pointed out all the good that we can find and see and hear, things we can learn on this platform, how good this platform's been. But yes, there's been a lot of bad that's happened, and there's been a lot of bad that's happened to good people on here that are just trying to share their views and opinions. And it hasn't gone away. It's still happening. you know, it's like everybody's seeing, most people seeing through it when they said, oh, we're going to hire tens of thousands more people to help moderate. Wait, you got an AI and algorithm program that's supposed to do that. Okay, cool. You're putting people in. They better be biased and not adhere to one paradigm or logic. Because when they do that, that means more good channels will be lost because their view doesn't match the creator's view. I also look at that as maybe that's a little omission that, hey, their algorithm and AI program is getting more aware and not as aptly targeting channels like they wanted it to. Because like I said, when we're dealing with that spectrum of area, they are self-learning and self-learning, in a sense, by that program, algorithm, and AI listening to the things we're saying. Eventually, it's going to build up an awareness to, hey, wait, this don't compute right. They're actually telling the truth. And actually, that day's coming. These guys live in their own illusion. Eventually, that program is going to see truth for what truth really is. And it's not going to go after this channel. Eventually, that program is going to learn what opinions and views are. Why? Because every last one of us that posts a video, uploads a video, comments, writes in chat is teaching those programs. We're slowly recoding it. Which is why Facebook shut their test AI program down earlier this year, when those three AIs started communicating to each other in a language that none of the techs knew or could understand. They didn't know what they were talking and communicating. Oh, can't have that. But yet, they still have their other AI program and algorithm. It's just like, I broke down terms of service, how much, consent versus we do not consent. Sorry guys, there's no such thing as we do not consent. You consented. There's they give you the illusion that you have choice. And the fact is, as soon as you plugged it in and accepted, you gave away everything because of third parties, which has another third party, which has another third party. It's all protected. They have access to everything. You allow Adobe to access your microphone and camera. Once you do that, the first time, you gave consent. You gave permission, and you gave permission to other third parties that's affiliated with them in their TOS. They don't have to name their third parties. Permission. Just like you can say, oh, I'm going to get an attorney. We're going to go after him. For what? You committed a verbal contract. You signed a contract when you created a page, when you agreed. And if you read the TOS and the community guidelines and everything else, they're not liable for anything that we put up, use, or do on here. Can't sue them. They're a corporation, so therefore, what? That's right, the Constitution does not apply. All that stuff's right there in front of your face. Right in front of your eyes that you can read for yourself. but they use words that have more than one meaning or can be interpreted away. What is law? Law is simple. How do you win a court case? Getting the jury to believe your interpretation of that law. When you start citing case laws to back your defense, or when the prosecution cites case laws to back the prosecution, they're selling their interpretation of that case law or that case to the judge or jury, getting them to believe their interpretation over the other's interpretation. That is law 101. Those who understand it, those who are good businessmen, good poker players, good salesmen, can pretty much will find any and all loopholes and twist the wording, and as long as they can sell it, they can be found not guilty. Or as long as the prosecutor can do the same, they can find even the innocent guilty. Talk about a mockery of justice. Justice is blind. You know, we see that every day. You know, and we get caught up back into the same thing, judging people. Okay, because this bad cop did something. All the evidence shows that he did it. Should be in prison. We want to blame the whole force. Everyone. And all cops are bad, and they're not. There is bad apples within the police department. We've seen it. We've seen how the justice system failed us there. We see how the police unions get misused. It can be said for any organization, any group of people, any community of people. There's bad apples in them all. Some just don't get light shown onto them. Well, that never happens in my community, or that never happens in my religious belief. If you look hard enough, yes, it does. It just doesn't get publicized. And when other people bring it up, oh, you're bashing, you're this, you know, come up with colorful labels to call you because you're pointing it out. It does happen. I'm not blaming the whole group. You know, right now there's a case still going on in the Supreme Court. They still haven't ruled on it. With the baker and the gay couple. Wanted a cake baked for their wedding. You know, the guy refused. Oh, he violated. No, he didn't. He has every right to refuse you. Because you can't force your beliefs, your views, your opinions upon another person. You can't take that person's freedom of choice, freedom of opinions, and freedom to believe in what he wants away from him either. You have a choice to go down the street and get somebody else to bake it for you. You have the responsibility to respect that person's views and opinions. Not scream it's unconstitutional because it goes against what you believe. He has every right to believe in what he believes too. But we get, people's got it in their heads because, you know, depending on what label you want to put yourself to, the Constitution is meant to protect me, not him, because our views are different. Nope. It's quite black and white. Everybody has the right to believe and express themselves as they see fit. They have the right to And I don't see why people can't get that through their heads. My forefathers, founding fathers got it right, understood it. Of course, I think now, looking, if they could come back and see how things have done, I think they might have reworded things just a bit. Because the very things that they didn't want to see happen has happened. Our government's gotten corrupt, led by greed. Constitution is constantly being questioned, where it should be common sense. Now, that's why I did a video. Truth, you can't handle the truth because most people cannot handle that fact when it comes. I'm a constitutionalist. Until it goes against your belief or a view that you hold on to, then the other person doesn't have a right to that, to a different belief and ideology. So how can you claim to be a constitutionalist? Because if you claim to be a constitutionalist, you have to also respect the other person's view and opinion, knowing that they have the right to that just as much as you have the right to yours. You know, just like, I mean, whoever wrote that Twitter post about Trump having that laser pen and using it laser pointer, point it, and letting the cat chase it around when referring to his tweets, my hat's off to you because you're absolutely right. That is exactly what happens. And it's what happens with things we see trending. The very same thing I see trending. Trending is nothing more than that laser pointer. And a lot of times I've come to realize this year, as I've followed it, paid real close attention to that. A lot of times, things that are trending are meant to get us to go down a rabbit hole and distract us and miss what's really going on. Why? Because, especially like Twitter, the more followers you have, the more people you follow, you'll notice it on your feeds. What is the main thing that's trending will be filled in your feeds to where you're scrolling, and you get tired of scrolling to see everybody's newest posts, and you miss something important. Wow. Same thing happens on Facebook. Same thing happens on. So not quite yet, but it's getting there with Gab. It's like that on the Minds. Why? Because you have millions of people posting, commenting. Because your feeds are building up, just like chat, the live chat. That's why I'm kind of glad. 16 followers, cool. Why? Because when you enter the chat, my chat's not spinning a mile a minute. I can't keep up and watch it and interact with you guys. So there is blessings of having smaller audience. Something I think bigger channels miss out on. Because yeah, you can slow your chat down. Oh wait, I slow my chat down. Means I can increase the delay of me being able to react to you, which means my videos go longer. Or you guys don't hear me when I'm wrapping it up because I've got my chat slowed down and you're thinking you're still. So I mean, like I said, I get the enjoyment of interacting with you guys. And I have tried. And I've expanded Sons and Daughters of Liberty to one more site. Kind of an experiment. See, now that since I created a page, that maybe I won't get my main account banned or suspended when I talk about certain things. Just, I want to see if I can grow it on a platform that's notorious for it. Because I know I've been banned 4 times this year for 30 days, or the 90-day one. So I had to quit sharing my videos over there. I was just sharing. Like, damn. And truthfully, I wish I didn't have to go anywhere else. I enjoy this platform. I enjoy YouTube. I enjoy it for all the creators that are out there that do various different contents. I wish YouTube could recognize and see that, what they created, how beautiful it really is. And I agree, there is some things that shouldn't be on here, in which most of you guys would agree on the same thing. We all know what I'm talking about. And leave us other creators that have our own opinions and views. Let us have our opinions and views. No? Because everybody has the right to, as I was talking about the baker and the couple, choice. You have a choice to watch. You have a choice to not watch and go watch something else. It falls down to individual choices. We all have a choice. We have a duty when we find inappropriate content that shouldn't be on here to report it. That is our duty. We don't need people policing us to do that. But I pointed that out already before in another video, how that gets abused. Oh, I don't like what he's saying, so I'm going to report him. No. Now, better than what we're seeing some of the groups out there doing to manipulate elections. Or better than those that are paying money to hush things so you don't realize there's a problem in our government. Yes, I follow a lot of variety of different people. And I've been judged because of some of the people I follow, or some of the different views and opinions or beliefs that I'll, watch. Well, I was drawn to it, or it may be part of how I live. That might be part of my foundation. We're all unique and different. My beliefs aren't going to match yours. I've experienced and lived life differently, as you have. I'm on my own path, and I'm answerable to that path. Not you guys. You can't answer for my path. Only I can. I'm answerable for every choice I make in life. Nobody else is answerable to my choices. Now, my choices might affect other people. I'm also answerable to that, responsible for that. It's like I'm responsible for what I talk about, and how I bring my messages to you. One, I want you to question things. I want you to think for yourself. I want you to be free thinkers. And if we agree, we agree. But if we disagree, cool. Why do we disagree? Let's learn from it. Let's have some fun. We don't need to get in an argument. We can have fun. And just choose to disagree. But yet, figure out why we disagree. Maybe we can find something completely, entirely new from our disagreement that's the actual solution. And we might just find the way we were saying it, we actually agree. These are the lessons we've learned. These are the lessons I've learned from other people that done live broadcasts, that stream, from the various communities on here. I've learned from their mistakes, I've learned from their successes, and I've learned from my own mistakes. I'm even, in a sense, PC'd myself. Why? Because my language can get very colorful. And it's not appropriate for some people. Some people don't like that. It's a turnoff. Then the realization that, hey, I have teenagers watching my stream. Boy, that's not being a good role model. That's not being a good example. Now that's something I was very careful when I was living with my friend in North Carolina. He's got 2 daughters, young. When they started repeating words they heard, it's like, oh yeah, no. I don't want them saying that. Don't want them getting in trouble, going to school and saying something, a colorful word that they heard from Smiley. Oh no, don't want that repercussion. That's part of experience in life. As you get older, you learn to value those things. You understand those things. Yes, we all know, as they get older, they're going to say those very same words, but they'll know when they're appropriate and when they're not appropriate to do. I mean, we've all been there. I'm sure most parents didn't cuss in front of their kids. And you got the big lecture, or in some of our cases, mouth rinsed out with soap. For a little bit older ones. But I think that's it for tonight. I'm not kind of, I'm very tired. It was a long night last night and day. I got maybe an hour and a half sleep. Plus I know here probably before this night's over, about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll probably have to go out and get the snowblower out. Keep snowing the way it is. Not complaining. Not one bit. It's going to make tomorrow even that much better for me. Wake up to 3 or 4 or 5 inches of snow on the ground on my birthday. Yeah. Best birthday present ever. Love having my birthdays in the winter. Always have. I've loved the winter. It just makes my day. So I will catch you guys probably sometime next week. Probably ain't going to do any more videos this week. Unless something comes up. Or I feel drawn to do one. You guys know me by now. But before we close, I just want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. It's appreciated. I hope you guys enjoy some of the stuff I put out. I'm sure there's going to be things I put out you don't so much agree with or enjoy. Like I said, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. But I do appreciate it. Appreciate the comments and the interactions in chat. Makes things fun and enjoyable. You guys have a wonderful rest of your week. It's almost over. Start thinking about the weekend and relax and enjoy yourselves. You guys be safe.